see this. Can you see this? As there, I'm actually trying to show the slides. Can you see this PowerPoint presentation?
No, ma'am.
No? All right. Okay. I think there is a problem here. Let me fix it. Um, where are others? Hmm, I was trying. How can I share it? I have to go to like uh, so please somebody can tell me about modernism. Who can tell me?
Hello.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can hear you.
Yes, connection to ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Can you see this slide?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So this is modernism. So what's the timeline? 1900 to 1945, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is actually the beginning of the 20th century, not 21st century. What is remarkable or what is significant during that time?
This time
1900 to 1940.
two World War
What?
occurred.
Yeah. How many wars? How many
Two,
world
ma'am.
wars?
Two.
Two. Okay. So the First World War took place in 1914,
19.
right?
Yes.
And the second one?
19.
1939.
39.
Yeah. So these two major events uh, had a strong impact on literature. And this period actually is known as modern period because there is a major shift from the Victorian period to modern period.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the shape in the Victorian period, what we have seen that in literature, mostly these are description of the
Yes,
external
ma'am.
things, external ideas, like it could be narrative of external ideas or external things. But all on a sudden, uh, with the turn of the century, we have seen a major shift because during this period, from 1900 to 1945, nothing remained objective, or
Yes, ma'am.
nothing focuses on um,
Objective things.
external things, right? Everything has become subjective, all
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And since it is subjective, it becomes mostly psychological. So the psychological issues becomes it became prominent during this period. As a result, uh, the writers of this period, they are trying to show the um, internal
Struggle of a
world,
people. This
or the
internal
inner world.
struggle. Yes.
Yeah, inner world of a man. And mostly the inner world gives us an impression that the psychological trauma, conflict, the suffering, the depression, the dichotomy, uh, uh, these are projected through the writing of the modern writers, especially the writers of this period. Now, as we have already discussed a little bit about stream of consciousness, it became very prominent during this time,
Yes, ma'am.
since we are actually dealing with the internal or inner conflict of the psychology of a man. And also, during this period, which there is another remarkable thing, that fiction and non-fiction, there is a kind of merging of fiction and non-fiction. We cannot clearly identify which one is fiction and which one is non-fiction.
Non-fiction.
Yeah, even if you look at the poem, you will find the poem looks like prose. And if you look at the prose, you will find the sentences are very short. Sometimes it looks like poem. So there is a change in the narrative style, in the rhyming words and the rhymes and verse. We find various changes, and here also the subjective matter, subjective ideas become, as we know, that it becomes very prominent. Um, Now let us see what we can see in these slides. Now, as we have, these are the things we have discussed earlier, but still, it
Yes.
is non-traditional syntax and forms. Embrace non-traditional. That means traditional structure is no longer there. Traditional structure
Yes,
means
ma'am.
usually, let me see if there is somebody is looking for, okay, admission. Yeah. Okay. Now, can you see it? Can you see the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So the non-traditional things, in the traditional approach, we usually find a clear-cut introduction, a clear-cut middle part or the body, and the clear-cut conclusion.
And
But in modernist writing, we do not find it. The drama or the novel, it starts all on a sudden, abruptly, in a dramatic manner, and there is no clear cut introduction or the beginning, and there is no clear cut
and
conclusion. We don't know where it ends, or we don't know how it starts. But usually in the Victorian period, in the 18th century and earlier in the Renaissance, everything has a clear cut beginning or very distinct beginning, not indistinct. So this is like non-traditional, not traditional syntax and structure or forms, and it challenges tradition. That means here the modernist writing, it challenges the age-old tradition, the tradition that has been practicing for a long time. Modernist writing is challenging that tradition. They are actually revolting against those tradition. They are trying to impose or introduce a new kind of writing style. Writers wanted to move beyond realism. Okay, so the realism is shown, but in a different manner. The realism, sometimes it is too much realistic, sometimes the writers use symbolic things or ironical ideas to to give us the impression of realism. So here writers wanted to move beyond realism to introduce such concepts as disjointed timelines. So timelines disjointed in a sense that there is no chronological development of any action. Everything is fragmented, disjointed. So even the timeline, these are also fragmented, not a unified whole. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But look at this. An overarching theme of modernism was emancipation. Do you understand emancipation? What is emancipation? What is emancipation? Freedom, right?
Ma'am, it is an
Emancipation means freedom.
yes, ma'am, it is a
So,
procedure economic and social rights.
yeah, actually it means freedom. Yeah,
Equality, yes,
basically,
ma'am, equality.
yeah, equally, and we actually mean here it means freedom. That mostly in the modernist
Yes,
writing, the writers try to find out some kind of freedom. They are in a sort of vacuum. They are in a sort of suffocating situation. So they want to get rid of it. They want to come out of that suffocating situation. That is a kind of freedom. Okay, if you look at T.S. Eliot's Wasteland, T.S. Eliot's Love Song of Proof of, you will find that the characters are in a situation which is very suffocating. So that they want a kind of freedom. It's not the freedom of like the physical freedom. It's like the mental freedom, the psychological freedom, freedom from all the dark aspects. All right, so they want to show some kind of mental trauma, conflict, uh, and this is what is presented in their writing. Now look at this difference between realism and modernism. Okay, uh, if you look at this contrasted picture, you see that realism is a kind of absolutism, that whatever is faced in the external world, it is absolute. Nothing can be, you cannot change it. It is taken for granted. So it is emphasized here. And also in modernism, it is the cultural relativism. So that means it may happen or it may not happen. You have to relate it with cultural aspect, and it is a relative. It's not that it's based upon realism. It's something to do with your uh, which may happen, which may not happen. So we cannot take it for granted. It is the perspective of the writer, or it is the perspective of the reader, who can assume it in that way. I think I discussed it in, if you remember, post-structuralism, taken something which is like the writer's perspective and the reader's perspective. So it is something like relativism. And secondly, realism believed that a single reality could be determined through the observation of nature. Now, observation of nature is like, it's our objective view, that we can see the external world and this is how we can determine the reality. But in modernism, it is believed that people make their own meaning in the world. And again, it is like structuralism, that our human mind constitutes our world. So here actually focus is our psychology, human mind. But in realism, it's like the objective world, the objectivity. So it is objectivity versus subjectivity. Have you understood? I need to drink water sometimes, because sometimes it is very difficult to talk otherwise. Okay, and now difference in the modern world, value differences, like postmodern world and the modern world. Um, Pre-modern world, sorry, pre-modern world and the modern world. Pre-modern world means the period.
Early period of modern time.
Yeah, right. Before 1900, okay, and modern world is after. Now, pre-modern world is very ordered, very well organized. It has its own meaning. It's very meaningful, optimistic, stable. There is faith. People used to have faith. Morality and values, yeah, it depends. Morality and values not always in the proper shape, but mostly it's in the good shape. Clear sense of identity. There is no identity crisis. It's not like fluid thing. It's like very concrete thing. Fluidity comes when modernism comes. But in modern world, it's very chaotic. We have seen it, very disorganized, very fragmented. It's like, what should I say? It's like patchwork. It's not an organic whole. So it is very chaotic. It's futile. There is hopelessness. There is uncertainty. There is loss of faith. We have seen it. Loss of faith is there. Pessimistic. Optimistic is, the pre-modern world was very optimistic. We have seen the writers. They talk about good things, and the future is quite. They are very hopeful about the future. But in the modern world, we have seen most of the writings, almost all the writings, the writers, they are very pessimistic about the future and about their own present time. Only one poet like W.B. Yeats, I think he shows some kind, he shows optimism in his writing, like the Second Coming. In Second Coming, he shows the optimistic future. And in his writing, we find optimism. Otherwise, most of the writing and most of the writers of that period, they are more or less pessimist. There is fluctuation, fluctuation in a sense that maybe there is faith, doubt and faith, always a kind of doubt and faith. So they are shifting from doubt and faith. But this is quite distinct in the writing of this period, that there is loss of faith. Loss of faith because the civilization they were thinking of, that human civilization became very the advancement of everything. They lost faith in it because the world war shattered their faith, their hopes, their belief in everything. So loss of faith actually came from that view, the futility of the advancement of human civilization, especially because of the World War. They thought that with the advancement of science and technology, with the advancement of the economic development,
Weapons,
there would be
advancement of
a
weapons as well.
yeah, yeah. So they thought that everything will be peaceful, happy, but instead there is, the total destruction. Like today, right? We are living in a world where we are enjoying the utmost facilities of everything, technological development of everything, but still there is a kind of hopelessness, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is actually a modern world, that everything seems to be very organized, very, there is development everywhere, but still it is because of the loss of faith, people are becoming more and more frustrated about this, about everything. Now, collapse of morality. This is important. In the Victorian period and earlier, in the 18th century, we have seen the beginning of degeneration, the moral lapses, but it actually rose to the highest point, or it reached the peak, the collapse of okay, people became confused of the sense of identity and the place in the world. So if you look at Prufrock, you will find that Prufrock, how he will identify himself with his present world. And there is an identity crisis in almost every writing of the writers of that period. So everybody is in a confused state regarding the sense of identity. Is it clear? Have you got the
Yes, ma'am.
difference? Any question? Do you have any question here? Okay, now let's move to the next slide. Look at this war,
Ma'am,
First World War, 1914. Yeah, yeah.
ম্যাম আমি এক্সট্রিমলি সরি ম্যাডাম, আমার জয়েন করতে করতে 10-15 মিনিট লেট হয়ে গেছিল, ইলেকট্রিসিটি ছিল না। তো, আমি আসলে একটু কানেক্ট করতে পারছি না, মানে পড়াটা শেষের দিকটা আমি খুব বুঝেছি, কিন্তু শুরুর দিকটা একটু
Which
একটু যদি
one?
কাইন্ডলি একটু কষ্ট করে একবার একটু ছোট্ট করে একটু বলা যেত।
No, we
ম্যাম
are
শুরুর
actually
দিকটা, মানে শুরুর দিকটা আমি ছিলাম না, তো প্রথম 10 মিনিট লেট হয়ে গেছে।
okay. So I would like to request somebody to give the summary. Hizbullah, you are here?
ইয়েস মিস, একটু হেল্প হয়।
Hizbullah, can you hear me?
ম্যাম সাকিব যদি বলে তাও হয়, একটু কেউ
Sakib,
একজন যদি একটু বলে।
Sakib, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me? Can you please
Yes, ma'am.
give us a summary of what we have discussed?
Okay, ma'am. Uh, can I see the slides, ma'am, from the beginning?
Yeah, sure. From the beginning, right? So this is modernism. Okay, so
Uh,
the first slide is this one.
yes. So today's topic is modernism. So as we know, modernism is a cultural rebellion against the old tradition, and it's occurred in 1900 to 1945. And after the World War One, the society was broken. They needed some new culture, new rules to keep the unite the society as again, as because the World War has shattered the whole country, not whole country, the whole world. So
ওয়ার্ল্ড,
in
ইয়েস।
modernism, we see the embrace. non-traditional syntax and form, as we say, the people wanted change in the society, change in new rules, because the world rules, which is especially the European culture, which was in practice for a long time. They needed a change. They need new rules, their own rules to continue to unite the society or to uh, rebuild the society again. Challenge tradition as well. The tradition has challenged variously, because this tradition is not helping them to progress further. The writers wanted to move beyond the realism, introduce such a concept as a disjointed timelines, as we know that in the previous culture, that's been before the modernism, everything was uh, the writers wanted to move beyond realism. See, the writers trying to create more space in writing. That's like, for example, the concept of stream of consciousness, where the writers tries to uh, explain the psychological impact of people because of the World War I. That is the beyond of a realistic view. And the overarching theme of modernism was the impassionism.
Emancipation. It's
Hello,
it's
ma'am.
freedom. Yeah, yeah. Emancipation is freedom.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. As well, then the difference between realism and modernism. Whereas realism emphasizes absolutism and believed that the single reality could be determined through the observation of nature. And in realism, we see that if we see one thing in nature, we can determine the future, how the things will go. However, in modernism,
একটু এই জায়গাটা বুঝি নাই মানে ইন রিয়েলিটি হোয়াট উই সি
realism, the realistic, the
হ্যাঁ
reality.
আচ্ছা
Realism
দ্যাট উই
emphasizes
সি মানে
absolutism. We can,
Everything is
সি
absolute in reality. Yeah.
অ্যাবসলিউট আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা
what
ইয়েস
we
মিস বুঝতে
see,
পারছি
it is the absolute truth.
অ্যাবসলিউটিজম
What we see in the
আচ্ছা
present time, that is the absolute truth.
রিয়েলিজম অ্যাবসলিউট ট্রুথ
Yes.
ইয়েস দেন
In modernism, it is argued for cultural realities, and when
হোয়াট আর্গু ফর কালচার
cultural
ভাইয়া
realities.
হোয়াট ইজ দ্য মিনিং অফ আর্গু ফর কালচার
It's
মিনিংটা
Abu,
no, no,
we
argued, argued.
argued means
argu yes now I understand argu yes argu
we learned about post-structuralism, where the writers dies and the reader raise, just like that. One thing ends, and there is a cultural
another thing begins.
yes, relatives,
Yes,
relatives. We can relate one thing to another,
yes. Now
and the belief
I
that
understand.
people make their own meaning in the world, as well as the existentialism,
Mhm.
that people are thinking
That's
about
it.
their own, what we are doing in now, that is their own meaning. They're trying to create their own world in their own space. The value
Mhm.
differences in modernism, pre-modern world and modern world. Pre-modern world means the starting period of modernism, modern time. In pre-modern world, there is order. Everything is in a structural form. Everything is in order. There is the rules, the justice. Everything is in order. Meaningful.
এই
The
এই জায়গাটা
society
বুঝিনি
has a
এই জায়গাটা বুঝিনি
pre-modern world. We
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা
in this here we can see the modern world, where the modern period begins, and the pre-modern world. It is the first chapter of the modern time. Did you understand, Abu?
বুঝতে পারছি হ্যাঁ now I understand yes
Pre-modern world.
first
That's
chapter of
mean the
modern world yes
starting point of the modern period. In that time, the society was what in order. There is a meaning for that. Everything has a meaning. The people were optimistic. The society was stable. The people have faith in God and others thing as well. That's mean the society rules. Even the leaders, the people has morality and values, clear sense of identity. People has a clear sense of identity. There is no identity crisis in them. There is no psychological trauma in them. Everything has a order and in peaceful thing. Now, when the modern world time, in modern world, we saw that there are two, especially the main impact occurred when the World War One happened. Because of the World War One, the whole world, the society was in a chaotic place because people couldn't expected that this so many people will die and the society will broke to will the society shatters into pieces. Then the futile because the World War One, the people don't have anything. People lost everything, even the hope as well. Pessimistic as in pessimistic people got the main one of the most incredible or a very important shift, that is that people stop believing in realism, in religion, because when the safe house of people, that's been the church or the temple, anything, when the place became a slaughterhouse, they started to question about the religion. Where is God when they are they were getting killed? That is the very significant shift of belief in peoples. Then the loss of faith, fluctuation, loss of faith as well. The values or rules of the structured society has shattered. These rules and the regulation didn't is not working because of the World War One. Collapse of morality and values as well, because people were killed in so many ways, and there's poverty, and uh, the aftermath of war is very much destructive, very much pathetic. People cannot live. There is no food. There is no there is no place. People
To live
cannot
in.
sleep. So many things
Yes, I
happen
understand.
because of that. The morality of values shattered in people's mind. Then the confused sense of identity and place in the world, as well as people got the, especially the psychological trauma started in this time. People started to think, what am I doing here? What is my purpose in this society? So that is the difference between the pre-modern world and the modern world.
Now I understand absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you,
and
Sakib. Thank you so much.
okay, very good, Saki. Well done. You
Yes,
have done
Sakib,
very well.
very
Uh,
well.
yeah, he explained wonderfully. So we can see that there is a difference between pre-modern world and the modern world. If we can think of the Victorian period as the pre-modern world, we usually find all these features of the Victorian period, and that is actually our pre-modern world. And if we compare this pre-modern world with the modern world, we usually we find these features of the modern world, where the modern world is actually a place, confused sense of identity and place in the world. I think the idea that the world is decentered world. They're saying that the decentered world because there is no center, and it is believed that if there is center, that means so here after the First World War, nobody can claim who is superior to view. Eurocentric view is Europe is at the center of all attention. Europe claim that they are the pioneer of all the advancement, development, and everything. So everything should be Eurocentric, and they are the European countries. They used to uh, consider that they are superior to others. But after World War, this this complacency, this self-satisfaction is shattered, and now there is a confused sense of identity, and they are at a loss where the position of a man is in the world, decentered. There is no center. Okay, now let's move to the next slide. This is the the picture of World War. We have from 1914 to 1917. Yeah, all right. Russian Revolution played an important part. Russian revolutions, it took place in 1917, and when you read those who are going to take literature as major, you will find modern world drama, where we will read some of the on modernism,
And
and that is based upon
Animal
Russian
Farm is a
Revolution.
perfect
And the
example of Russian
yeah,
Revolution.
yeah, very good. Animal Farm is the finest example of Russian Revolution. And in the third semester, those who are going to take a major in literature, you will find there is a drama called Cherry Orchard. It is also based upon
Yes, ma'am.
Russian
Russian
Revolution.
Revolution. The end of monarchy
Yeah,
and how the politics used in that
yeah,
time.
the feudal system, the the fall of feudal system and rise of the middle class and the
Yes,
lower
ma'am.
middle class and the working class, rise of the proletariat and the fall of the bourgeois class. These are all reflected in those dramas, and this happened because of this Russian Revolution. It brought major changes in the society. So society saw changes because of several revolution. One is Russian Revolution. In the past, there was another revolution, which was French Revolution.
French
It
Revolution.
brought, it brought major changes. But after that, in the 20th century, Russian Revolution played an important role, and people started to think, to consider different ideas about their own existence. And it happened, the existential crisis started because of this world war, because of this Russian Revolution. And Russian bourgeois class is the Tsar. The monarchical system was those who were ruling the Tsar. They were ruling the state, and their the loss of power, loss of everything, it brought changes in the political system, it brought changes in the economic system and the society. So huge change, and civil war, then fall of socialism, everything took place during that time. So there is a major shift, major changes in the world affair. Okay. Now, now between these world wars, okay, let me move back. Okay, many historians have described the period between the two world wars as a traumatic coming of age. Between the two world wars, that means 1914 to 1918, and the end of First World War is 1918. From 1918 to 1938, uh, between this time, so many things happened, and people realized so many issues, major issues. So that was actually a traumatic period. In a post-industrial revolution era, America had moved from an agrarian nation to an urban nation. Now, industrialization is a change. It brought and economic landscape. So because of this industrial revolution, there was massive urbanization. And as a result, the agricultural nation all on a sudden became a nation which is, they are trying to find themselves in a society which is a capitalist society. Capitalism is ruling the nation in the across the world, and as a result of capitalism, there is huge urbanization. So the rural areas are no longer there. There is the destruction of rural areas, and people are heading towards city life, urban life. The lives of these Americans were radically different from those of their parents. It's very natural. The countryside, the beautiful countryside, which we usually see in the Victorian period, the pastoral scene, the idyllic scene, the calm and quiet areas, the beauty of nature, these are no longer there. Instead, we see the filthy, dirty, nasty, crowdy urban life. Urban life is not as calm and quiet as the country life. So in the city life, we see the hustle and bustle of the everyday life. So it becomes really very chaotic, and that's why it's all about the lifestyle of the American people, where they saw the radical change in their life, which is absolutely different from the lives of their parents, of their ancestors. Okay, so it happens between the two world wars. Now, this is the result, the consequence of the political turmoil. One is fascism. You know fascism. Fascism, Nazism, communism. And fascism is, the separation and persecution or denial of equality to a certain group based on race, creed, or origin. One class is ruling over other class, one class is dominating other class. So it happens in fascism. In Nazism, we also find a kind of social discrimination, socialism featuring racism, expansionism, and obedience to a strong leader. The good example, we have seen the fine example in Germany. I was discussing the political system of Hitler, or we were yeah, Hitler was a dictator. Hitler was a terrorist. Now he is a strong leader, and he wanted everybody to be obedient to him. But again, this is another interesting factor, or another interesting fact, that he was very racist. He killed Jews indiscriminately. He didn't spare the lives of the Jews, not even the children and the old people. So this is actually racism. And he believed in expansionism. He tried to expand the territory, and that was not only with Nazism, that was actually, it started from colonial period. They believed in the expansion, and as a result the geographical area expanded, and the geographical areas came under the the powerful nation. That's why there was a kind of Eurocentric view that they were superior to others, and they tried to dominate the people who are inferior to them. They thought that they are the civilized nation, and they tried to civilize the other nation whom they tried to colonize. So it's not only with Nazism, but we actually find all these things in fascism, in Nazism, also in communism. Communism, it's relatively better, relatively good, because here we find the equal status. Control of the means of production should rest in the hands of the laborers. That means the working class people are given the privilege of deciding their own fortune or fate. The state is the owner of everything. Everything should be under the control of state. There will be no powerful class, or there will be no upper upper class or low, working class, everybody will enjoy the equal rights and privileges. That is communism, but it did not work. It did not work well. As a result, we saw the the destruction of communism afterwards. And in after First World War and Second World War, the nations, the states, they were heading towards democratic system, capitalism. So communism didn't work well. But even today, communism is a good system in every respect. Now we can see fascism and Nazism. All right, these two leaders, they are the the representative of these two school of thought.
Ma'am, talk about racism. In today's time, when George Floyd was killed
Okay.
in America, there is a racism.
This is communism. Evict the rich. That means communism is, yeah, yeah. In America is a nation where we find the cruelest or the darkest side of
Ma'am, George
racism,
Floyd
where
was killed in
the,
America. In America, it still
yeah,
raise the question that
yeah.
are the people of
Sir,
America free of racism or not?
ma'am, recently
Uh,
in America again racism increased a lot.
Yeah, it increased a lot. Even today, see, we are living in a postmodern world, but even today, after such ups and downs, and even with the advancement of everything, there is racism. People are educated, people are very polished, very civilized, but still there is racism, which is very, very unfortunate. Unfortunate for a nation who claims they are the best nation in the world. So it happened during the British period, colonial period. They considered they are superior, and that is also another racism. They tried to dominate others because they thought that others are not equal to them. So that is racism. They tortured. There was injustice, misgovernance, and what British did in the previous century, America is doing now. Okay, so that is actually a kind of power play. Okay,
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
uh, do you want to
Ma'am,
add anything?
history repeats itself. Nowadays, American picture is like of the. I try to telling you that the about racism.
Yeah,
Though we are in a modern era where America is considered is mostly advanced world. In fact, most
yeah,
of the people are educated there, and
yeah,
but still the history repeats type of thing is happening nowadays. Very recent time.
yeah. So we are not very sure who is patronizing all these things, or the general people. The general people are not like that. Mostly they are very civilized, very polished, very well behaved, very kind. But there are another group of people who are racist, who are dominating others, who are cruel to the others. Okay, all right. Yeah. So shall we move forward?
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
Now, if we look at the present time, we can say that it's a time where we have seen advancement everywhere, everywhere. Especially this is because of scientific revolution. Today it is called, we are living uh, in a world where fourth industrial revolution has already taken place. Fourth industrial revolution. That means we are actually in an era which is unimaginable. Because look at us, we are living in a in a country which is still trying to struggle and working hard to be a developing nation, and we are doing our class online, virtual class. So definitely technology has reached at such a certain point that we can enjoy the facility that a developed nation is enjoying right now. What American people are doing, we can do the same thing even living in Bangladesh. So because we are living in the global village, and the whole world has become one global village. So whatever you are doing, whatever you are enjoying, you can expect the same thing living in uh, in a developed country like America or Canada. You have the same type of facility you are enjoying living in a country like Bangladesh, not only in Dhaka, but even in the rural areas. The only thing is maybe our technology is not as strong as them, but still we are very lucky that we can enjoy the same facility. So this is happening because of the scientific revelation. And one is quantum theory. It is a purely scientific theory. It explains the nature of matter and energy on the atomic and subatomic level. I do not understand much about it because it's purely science-based theory. And another one is principle of uncertainty. In quantum mechanics, increasing the accuracy of measurement of one observable quantity increases the uncertainty with which another may be known. So one is observable, and that observable quantity increase the rate of uncertainty with which another may be known. So one is certain, another one is uncertain. So these are actually scientific theories. We should skip it because we cannot. I think I cannot explain it that much.
মিস এটা ইজি থিওরি ম্যাচেস উইথ দ্য অ্যাসোসিয়েশন কোয়ান্টাম অ্যাসোসিয়েশন থিওরি
Yeah. Like the quantum formula is, when we are talking about the scientific revelation, we cannot think of scientific advancement without quantum method or quantum revelation. All right. So the basic changes has brought because of this quantum theory, which is actually brought a massive change in the world, and especially physics. In physics, we have seen the impact of it. So it is actually based on scientific innovation, scientific development and breakthroughs. Okay.
Ma'am,
And if we
can
look
I
at
ask you a question that is out of syllabus?
nature of
Just
reality,
arised in my
yeah, sure.
ম্যাম
Yeah, of course.
ডু ইউ মানে মিন্স বাংলায় বলতে এই যে মিস এই যে মানে কোয়ান্টামটা তো আসলে খুব প্রচলিত আমাদের দেশেও এখন এই যে
Hello,
ওদের যে একটা মেথড ওরা
can you
একটা
hear me?
টিচিং দেয় বা কিছু হ্যালো ইয়েস মিস আই ক্যান হিয়ার ইউ ক্যান ইউ হিয়ার মি মিস হ্যালো নেটওয়ার্ক
Mm-hmm.
ম্যাম
হ্যালো
Oh,
নেট একটু স্লো। মনির আপু আপনি
I think
বলেন,
হ্যাঁ
পরে শুনতে পাবে।
that, yeah, but I'm not talking about this quantum. It's not.
Yes, Miss. That's what I was asking. Miss, is this quantum related to this
Yeah, go
quantum
on.
in our
Oh, no,
Miss?
no. It's not related because that is a meditation. It's like
Yes, 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 ma'am.
what quantum foundation.
Meditation.
It's meditation. Yeah, it has influence. Quantum has the influence on the human body, but that is different. The meditation, it's absolutely different, but it has connection with the physics and the quantum theory. I'm not sure about it, so that's why I cannot give a good explanation here. But I
Okay,
have
miss.
heard that uh, that is another kind of discussion. Maybe we will do it some days
Yes, yes,
later.
miss. Okay, miss.
Okay. All right. So, nature of reality. Now, this is another interesting thing. Many worlds or multiverse theory. And here it is written that as soon as the potential exists for any object to be in any state, the universe of the object transmutes into a series of parallel universes equaling the number of possible states in which an object can exist. Stephen Hawking posits the possibility for interaction between universes. This is again another theory which is, explained in physics. We just try to know that this is many worlds, that universe, there are objects which are transmuted or changed, which are changing every time. There is a kind of mutation and transmutation, so it causes some other parallel universe, a series of parallel universe. So this is a different state, mutation and transmutation. Again, it is a scientific theory. So Copenhagen interpretation is nothing exists until it is measured. So in science, we know that science is thoroughly objective. Whatever you can observe, whatever you can see, that is part of science, which is absolutely different from our literature. In literature, literature is subjective. We are not dealing with objective things always. Mostly we deal with subjective ideas, which is internal, psychological. All right. So yeah, objective issues are also there when we are praising nature, when we are appreciating the beauty of the external world. We are dealing with objective view things, but there are issues where we are dealing with subjective ideas, like our internal things, like inner world of a man. So Copenhagen interpretation is nothing exists until it is measured, until it is observed or observable. Okay, so here it is about cat, and cat, we can see cat, so it is observable. The sense that our culture has no center, no values. That means paradigm shift. There is a from the closed, finite, measurable cause and effect universe of the 19th century to an open, relativistic, changing, strange universe. Who can explain it? This idea paradigm shift. Sakib is here. Sakib, can you hear me?
Ma'am, I am a student of arts. I am not a science. I am
Hezbollah,
not. No.
can you explain? Okay. As we have seen in structuralism, that in post-structuralism, there is no center. If there is no center, previously it is believed that there should be a center and there is a periphery. But in modernism, we think or we consider there is no center, And if there is no center, no values, the sense that our culture has no center, no values. There is a paradigm shift. In the past, it was very closed, finite, measurable cause and effect universe of the 19th century. 19th century world or the universe is very closed, very compact. Uh, there is limit, not unlimited, and it was very measurable. And there is cause and effect. If it happens because of this. So that is cause and effect universe. But um, from that position, we have come to a position which is open, relativistic. That means we are not sure about anything. We are not certain about anything. It may happen or it may not happen. So that is relativistic. Changing, everything is changing. Today, what we are believing, if we think that this is this today, tomorrow it will take a different shape, different look. That means nothing can be taken for granted. Every day we are experiencing new things, uh, and strange universe. The outside world is very, very strange. Today it is stranger than before. We can the time we are passing through in 2020. It is absolutely strange. We are living in a strange universe. Do you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
So
ma'am,
I think you
absolutely.
can. Yeah, I think now you can understand the paradigm shift. Paradigm is it's a um, it's a stage, one stage which was quite sure that this is this. Everything is pure. Everything is we can take everything for granted, and there is rule. There is a structure. But now we do not have any structure. We do not have any. Uh, there is no rule. Nothing works. Everything is changing. Every day it is changing, and everything is very strange. The external world is very, very unpredictable, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now, uh, now in art we usually find cubism, dadaism, surrealism, futurism. These are different theories, and in course of time, if it is possible for us, we will try to discuss all these things. Okay, I don't think that we need it. It is about art. Okay, let's move. Sometimes it doesn't work. My cursor is not working. Okay, so I think a little bit. I think we get the point. get a little bit idea about it, about modernism?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you got idea about modernism?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Ma'am, I have a question to you, ma'am.
Hello?
You can give me
Hello?
a summary of what we have discussed so far.
Ma'am, I have a question to ask.
Yeah, ask questions. Now the
Ma'am,
question answer session. Who will ask first? Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah, I can hear you. Ask the question. Ask the question.
is it the modernism? Modernism এর তো part এগুলো.
Yeah, can you hear
Yes, miss,
me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
What's your question?
modernism এর part. Ma'am, my question
Yeah,
is যে
yeah. These are-
postmodern after World War, the idea of modernism, these things are part of a modernism, but isn't it, ma'am? এগুলো তো মডার্নিজমের সাথে রিলেটেড, বাট মডার্নিজম জিনিসটা তো একটা নিজে একটা কনসেপ্ট।
Yeah, these are
Ma'am,
major
ঠিক আছে, ma'am.
features of modernism. These are features of modernism, not in fact.
These are features of nature. Yes, yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, Hizbullah. What's your question, Hizbullah?
Ma'am, actually my internet connection is very poor, but whatever I can hearing from you, it seems to be difficult, ma'am, to connect. Actually, in which direction we are going ahead? Are you studying a pre-modern period, modern period, or post-modern period?
Yeah, we have started from pre-modern period. We discussed pre-modern period and post-modern period, not post-modern period. We made a comparative study between pre-modern and post-modern, pre-modern and modern, and we discussed the major aspects of modernism. Major aspects, the major features, like we discussed loss of faith, then degeneration, a kind of fragmentation,
Frustration.
loss of identity, frustration, depression. All these are part of modernism.
Ma'am, from where we will get all of this, ma'am?
আলিয়া ম্যাম চলে গেছে।
আজকে নেট অনেক সমস্যা করছে।
মাইশা, ম্যামের নেট অনেক স্লো। আমরা এইখান থেকে কথা বলি না তখন ম্যামের ওইখানে প্রায় 10 থেকে পরে যায়, 10 থেকে 15 দিন। আর যেদিন এই যে বৃষ্টি বৃষ্টি থাকে না, ওই দিন একদম নেটে অনেক প্রবলেম করে।
সাকিব কে আছে
হিজবুল্লাহ ভাই
আমি সবার বেশি পাচ্ছি
ভাই
কারণ
আছি
ব্লক
আছি
হয়ে গেছে।
আছি।
না ভাই নেই।
সাকিব
এই যে আমার এই যে সবাই মিলে ধুচ্ছো, শুনো বলা পাইন, আমার এই যে সবাই মিলে ধুইতেছো,
এই
আমার জন্য যে বুঝতে পারতেছো ম্যাডাম আবার রিপিট করতেছে, এটা বুঝো না? না এই ম্যাডামের
আপনার
পড়া কিছু মাথায় ঢুকে?
আপনার এই যে কতগুলো ধন্যবাদ দিচ্ছে ওইখানে, আপনার
আরে
এই
তোমরা
কতগুলো
ধন্যবাদ দিয়ে শেষ করতে পারবা? আমি তো বেছে বেছে 1.10 বার জিজ্ঞেস করতেছি যাতে সবার মাথায় জিনিসটা ঢুকে, কারণ ম্যাডামের পড়া তো অর্ধেকই বুঝি না।
এটা রেকর্ড হয়, আপনারা কি হচ্ছে তো কি মানে বুক্কা এটা।
না মানে ম্যাডামের পড়া তো সুন্দর, দেখা যায় আমরা একজন দুইজন বুঝি কিন্তু সবাই তো বুঝতে পারি না। এজন্য আমি বারবার জিজ্ঞেস করতেছিলাম, আমারও কনসেপ্ট ক্লিয়ার হচ্ছে না, কারণ পরে আমি
নেট
পড়তে বসি
যখন
আমার কনসেপ্ট ক্লিয়ার হয় না।
বেশি কোশ্চেন করো ম্যামের কথাটাই শুনতে পাই না, বুঝছো?
না এখন কোশ্চেন না করলে আমার তো আইডিয়াটা ক্লিয়ার হয় না, বুঝছো? আমি তো পরে আবার পড়তে বসলে তখন কিছুই মাথায় ঢুকে না। এখন ম্যাডামের কাছ থেকে যেই ক্লিয়ার হয়ে যাব সেই তো বোঝা যাচ্ছে।
না না ঠিক আছে, যার যার প্রবলেম কোশ্চেন করবেন। ম্যামের কি ইলেকট্রিসিটি চলে গেল নাকি নেট চলে গেল?
সাকিব
ওয়াইফাই থাকলে
আচ্ছা
কারেন্ট
17 তারিখ থেকে তো ইউনিভার্সিটি খোলা সামনে মাসে, এটা তো শিওর মোটামুটি।
আমার কপাল পুরো।
হিজবুল্লাহ ভাই কিছু বলবেন নাকি সাকিবকে?
আসলে কি ক্লাস 17 তারিখ থেকে শুরু হবে?
সাকিবকে
হ্যাঁ বলেন, শুনতেছি।
সাকিব
কি হচ্ছে তোমার
অ্যাবসলিউট ট্রুথ ছিল, ওটা হচ্ছে রিয়েলিজম। আর ওইটার সাথে মডার্নিজম মানে আফটার ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ার 1 এটার সাথে করেছে, কনসেপ্টটা দেখাইছে, পার্থক্য দেখাইছে। মানে যুদ্ধ না হওয়া পর্যন্ত সবকিছু তো ঠিক ছিল মোটামুটি।
এটা এটা কি কোনো বই কি ম্যাম
আচ্ছা
আমাদেরকে
একটু অবজেক্টিভ সাবজেক্টটা বলো তো সাকিব।
সাকিব আমি একটা প্রশ্ন আমার ভাই,
একটু বলো তো।
আমার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল তোমার কাছে ভাই,
বুঝলাম
সেটা
না,
হচ্ছে
কারো কথা শুনতেছি না।
আচ্ছা আমারটা শুনতেছো তাই বলো।
বলেন।
আমার একটা কোশ্চেন হচ্ছে, এই যে মডার্নিজমটা ম্যাডাম পড়াচ্ছে এটার উপরে কি কোনো কবিতার সাথে রিলেট করবে নাকি জাস্ট মডার্নিজম কি এই জিনিসটাই আমাদেরকে পড়াইতেছে?
অবশ্যই কবিতার সাথে রিলেট করবে।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা পরে
দ্য লাভ সং অফ আলফ্রেড প্রুফো কিন্তু মেন
ওই যে টিএসএল আলফ্রেড প্রুফো রাইডার্স টু দ্য সি
ক্রাইসিস, হ্যাঁ, সাইকোলজিক্যাল ডিসঅর্ডার, সাইকোলজিক্যাল ট্রমা, সব টিএসএল এর মধ্যে আছে। যে আলফ্রেড
ও
প্রুফো
আজকে তো সংস এন্ড লাভার্স
এখন পুরো পড়াইছে, কবিতা কি মিস গত ক্লাসে পড়াইছে কোনোটা?
না না কিছু পড়ায়নি। আমি আমার উদাহরণ দেওয়ার
কবিতা পড়াবে না, কবিতার সাথে রিলেট করবে।
রিলেট করবে, কবিতা পড়াবে না, কিন্তু কিছু কিছু অ্যাসপেক্ট গুলো দেখাবে, যেটা সাথে আপনার স্ট্রিম অফ কনসিয়াসনেস, তারপর হচ্ছে আইডেন্টিটি ক্রাইসিস, এগুলো রিলেটেড আছে। আর অনেক বড় তো কবিতা, এখন দেখা যাক
ও
সাকিব।
আচ্ছা এটা এটা কি কোনো বইটই কিছু বলছে, কোনো বইটই কিছু বলছে ম্যাডাম?
বই রয়েছে না আপনারই, যে ম্যাম যেটা দিয়েছে ওটা পরের আর ইসে কি বলে নেটে সুন্দর আপনার বোঝানো আছে, মডার্নিজমের সাথে কই রিলেটেড করা আছে, চিন্তা করেন।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে।
হ্যাঁ সাদিয়া আপু বলেন কি বলছেন।
আচ্ছা ম্যাম কি ব্রেক দিয়ে চলে গেল? ম্যামের যে নেটকে আবার ফোন দিয়ে দিয়েছিলাম ম্যামকে। আচ্ছা কাকে পড়াইতে বলছে? সাকিব পড়াও তো।
সাকিব পড়া, হ্যাঁ সাকিব কনসেপ্ট বুঝাও।
এক মিনিট
বিপ্লব মই রে যাবে আমাদের
আর মনির আপু সাকিব পড়াইতে সময় কিন্তু কোনো কিছু বুঝতে চাবেন না, সাকিব কিন্তু ম্যাডাম না।
সাকিব সাকিব পড়াইলে ও তো গড়গড় করে বলে যেতে থাকে, আমার কনসেপ্ট তো ক্লিয়ার হয় না, আমি তো জিগাবই বাবা। আর কি করবা, তোমাদের দুর্ভাগ্য যে তোমাদের ব্যাচে এরকম একটা বুড়ি ধেরি এসে পড়ছে, কিছু করার তো নাই।
আমি তো বললাম, আর কেউ বলে যে ফারজানা আপু বলে না, এই মেয়েটা সবই বুঝে তারপরে কিছু বলে না।
হ্যাঁ ফারজানা এই বলো, লাস্ট একটু বুঝাও।
আচ্ছা ম্যাডাম কি যেন বললো আপু, মনির আপু?
এই যে আসছে আবার ম্যাডাম বলছে যে ডিসকাশন চালায় যাইতে নেট প্রবলেম হচ্ছে, কানেক্ট করতে পারতেছে না।
ও আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, তাহলে আপনারা ডিসকাশন করেন, আমি পরে
হ্যাঁ আমি যাই, আমি যে ঘুমাই নাকি?
আরে আপু আমার আর কথাই বলতে ইচ্ছা করতেছে না, আপু বিশ্বাস করেন আমার মুখ
যাও
দিয়ে
যাও
কথা বাইরে
হ্যাঁ,
হচ্ছে না।
আচ্ছা তুমি যাও যাও, আমরা আমরা হ্যাঁ নামাজের পরে ক্লাস হবে। এই ফারজানা একটু বুঝাও, গেছে কই মেয়ে পালাই গেছে।
না
এখনই তুমি
পালাই নাই,
লাস্টের পার্টটা বুঝাও,
ম্যাডামের
লাস্টের পার্টটা বুঝিনি।
ম্যাডামের স্লাইড গুলো না দেখতে পেলে ভালোই তো। ফ্যাসিজম,
না
তারপর
দেখতে পারলেও
নাজিজম,
তুমি ইয়াটা বুঝাও।
কমিউনিজম।
uh, get access. All right. So I'm really very sorry for this
মিস আমি তো
technological.
বলতেছি ক্লাস হবে না আজকে।
Yeah, it took a lot of time. I was actually trying and trying. Finally, I could get access to this link.
Ma'am,
I'm really
there
very
is
sorry for this interruption. Okay, so we were discussing the presentation, remember? Actually, the major features of modernism is inner psychology of the mind of the character, or maybe the major characters in the drama, novel, short story, or poem. If we look at T.S. Eliot's poem, J. Alfred Prufrock, the inner psychology of J. Alfred Prufrock is given vivid description by T.S. Eliot. Then there is changes in the perception of language. Language is you have if you let's take the example of J. Alfred Prufrock. There you have seen the use of language in different way. For example, he wrote a line where he wrote, "Do I dare? Do I dare?" So you can uh, say it in different perspective. Your perspective might be different from my perspective. All right. So the perception of language would be different from person to person. Like, do I dare? I can say that he was actually trying to say that he's hesitating. He needs confidence to propose to propose a lady. So he says, do I dare? And there is a kind of hesitation, confusion. This is my way of presenting the situation. You may perceive it in a different manner. So this is a kind of relative. We were discussing the cultural relativism. So this is sort of that type of relativism, because nothing is certain. We cannot say anything in that way. Have you understood?
Yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, and there is a kind of emphasis on the experimental. You will see the different poets, different writers. They experimented on different type of writing. So different genre of writing was focused during that period or modern period. So one thing I didn't discuss, perspectivism. At the very beginning, there is a kind of perspectivism that here perspective matters a lot. My perspective, your perspective, his perspective. So modern writings, especially in the modern period, perspective matters. A lot, especially when we were discussing post-structuralism. You have seen that the death of the writer and birth of the reader, reader's perspective may vary from writer's perspective. So perspective, it actually happens during that period, in the modern period. So in modernism, we also find discontinuous narrative. Discontinuous narrative is where you do not find smooth flow of narrative. continuous flow of narrative or chronological development of any action. There is discontinuity. There is,
Detachment from the strangers.
yeah, you will always find discontinuity. Okay. All right. So have you understood discontinuity?
Yes, miss.
Okay. There is another thing, intertextuality. Like intertextuality, like one text is merged with another text. Uh, as I said that fiction and non-fiction merges together, fiction and non-fiction merge together. So it's like two different texts together, and it gives a uh, different flavor. So there is one text, and if you merge it with another text, that becomes intertextuality. Okay, and in the modernism, we also find vivid uh, description of the classical allusions, classical references. You will always find in the poems of T.S. Eliot, there are several classical allusions, references of the classical period. Also, in modernism, you will find borrowing from culture and other languages, words and ideas from other culture, from other language. Okay, there are words which are taken from other languages and other cultures. Okay. Now, in literature, we usually find a single story might be told from the perspective of several different people, with the assumption that the truth is somewhere in the middle. Single story can be told by many people. If you look at Wasteland, you will see many narrators, not single narrator. There are multiple narrators. So one story will be told by many voices. So there are different perspectives of that singular singular story. Excuse me. Um, Now, in modernist writing, one thing is very interesting. I think you have also observed it, that the ending of any modern writing, mostly it is ambiguous, open-ended, which are seen as more representative of reality. That you cannot get clear notion of any ending. Maybe the ending is you are left with an ending
Questions.
where you cannot come to any conclusion. You have to decide your own conclusion. You have to come to the conclusion based on your own perception. It is not certain. The narrative is discontinuous. Narrative moves back and forth, either forward or backward, flashback or in the future. So that is discontinuous narrative. Usually in modern writing, you will find this kind of discontinuous narrative. One example is Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury, or As I Lay, Dying. Now, we were saying that intertextuality, and intertextuality is a kind of relationship between two or more texts that quote from one another, and it also gives reference to one another, or it is connected with each other. Now, we can give the example Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury. Here, this title is related to Shakespeare's Macbeth. Then James Joyce's Ulysses, it is actually taken from Homer's work, The Odyssey. Okay, so this is intertextuality, that one text has connection with another text, or one text has reference with another text. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I have two questions, ma'am.
Yeah, ask the questions.
Ma'am, actually, what is fiction and non-fiction, ma'am?
Okay, fiction is like novels, short story, poem. These are fiction. Like any literary piece which is based upon imagination. Okay, that is fiction. And any literary work which is based upon realism, fact, that is non-fiction, like essays.
Sorry, ma'am. Last word. I can't hear the last word, ma'am.
Essays are non-fiction, but novel, short story, poem, drama, these are fiction. Whatever is based upon imagination, that is fiction. And also in fiction we find characters, we find anything which is based in fiction. You will find characters, incidents, then setting, plot. These are common in fiction, but in non-fiction, which is based upon especially we can say the essays are non-fiction. Okay, real life incident is non-fiction. Okay, so this is what is actually fiction and non-fiction. Have you understood, Hizbullah?
Yes, miss. Ma'am, what is a classical allusion?
Classical reference. Reference, when we read Love Song of Prufrock, T.S. Eliot gives the reference of Hamlet, and also he talks about Claudius. So this is classical reference because, or also we have this. He talked about the characters from classical period. So that is the classical reference.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks, ma'am.
Okay, most welcome. Shall I move forward?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, now the major themes in the modern writing or modernism are breakdown of social norms and cultural certainties or sureties, because in the previous period, that means in the Victorian period, everything was intact, like social beliefs, moral ideas, faith, cultural ideas, cultural aspects. These are all structured, and there is no breakdown. But in the modern period, there is a major shift in the cultural aspects, in the you know, in the beliefs, in the moralities, there is a breakdown. Also, you will find in the modernist writing alienation of the individual. That means there is a separation of the individual from the society, from the world, or from his own time. So alienation is a kind of separation. In Prufrock, you have said that his own world surrounding or from his own society. So a present in the themes of modernism. Product of the metropolis, of cities and urban scapes. Mostly you will find in the modernist writing the city life, the urban life, and the sufferings of the people of the city life, urban areas, their troubles, their problems, their difficulties, their sufferings. These are reflected in the modernist writing. Women were given the right to vote in 1920. If you look at the history, that women did not have the right to vote before 1920. So again, in Karl Marx's book, these are in it has huge impact, because in socialism he also gives much importance to women rights. So Karl Marx's rights ideas flourish. Bolshevik revolution overthrows Russia's Tsar government and establishes the Soviet Union. So there were changes in the political landscape, in the political areas, which has or which has an impact on the literary uh, works or in the social aspects. Now, writers of this period, they try to explore all these ideas like Marxism or socialism. These influence the writers of that time. So they try to explore it in their literary work. Now, as we were saying or discussing sense of alienation, here we find the character belongs to a lost generation. All right. And the lost generation, he feels that he can go back to that generation. The character feels that he is separated from that generation. He wants to go back to that generation. And the character suffers from a or separation of his thought from his feeling. Dream. Usually in the writing of modern novel or modern dream, that is not achieved, or uh, that cannot be achievable. Everywhere we find that he has a dream, he is running after dream, he is chasing dream, but he cannot reach that dream. He cannot taste the dream, the effect of dream in his life. And the character demonstrates the uncertainty felt by the individuals living in this. So everything seems to be uncertain. And here you can give the example of Great Gatsby. So Great and Farewell to Arms, where the protagonist faces uncertainties. Urban life is mostly given importance. Life in the city differs from the life in the countryside. and there is a conflict begin to center on society. So these are major ideas of the modernist writing. And in modernist writing, mostly, as I say, or as we have discussed, that the city life is mostly given importance. Okay, and urban life becomes very much boring, dull, uninteresting, and there is a sense of loss in the urban life. Okay. That's it, or that's all about modernism. And I think I need to discuss the literary work like Wasteland or J. Alfred Prufrock in connection with modernism, so that you can understand how modernism is applied in the literary works. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
I will give you the handout on Wasteland, inshallah, and if possible, I will give you the PowerPoint slides. Okay, that we discussed today. Do you have any question?
No, ma'am.
So if you don't have any question, let's finish our class here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Okay. But you must let me know if you have any confusion or any question regarding anything. Uh, these are the discussions on modernism. But once we discuss the text, I think modernism will be easier for you to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, miss.
Okay, but let me know how far you have understood. Hizbullah.
Yes, miss. Ma'am, second half was very interesting, and it was easy for me to connect.
Okay.
First half was my connection wasn't very clear. The internet connection was very poor. At the same time, what was going on?
Mumtarin will participate and she will write something. This is how, if everybody will write something, your understanding will be, uh, I think it will be easier for you to understand.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
All right. So all
Yes,
of
ma'am.
you, please write something about our today's discussion. Little
Oh,
bit. Okay. So
yes,
that's
miss.
it. All right. So don't forget to write your name and ID.